What if the Bible you know is missing entire books and with them a hidden history? The Ethiopian Bible with 81 books preserves an African spiritual heritage erased from the Western canon. This isn't just about lost chapters, it's about a lost identity and truth. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, one of Christianity's oldest, has safeguarded texts like Enoch, Jubilees, and Maccabean works that root faith in African soil. These books place Africa at the heart of biblical history, telling stories of chosen lineages and cosmic battles. To rediscover this library is to reclaim a history and spiritual legacy long buried by colonial powers. Ethiopia stands alone in Africa as a nation never colonized, allowing its Christian tradition to remain unbroken and uniquely its own. The Ethiopian Church's scriptures, preserved in the ancient Ge'ez language, were never filtered through European councils or colonial edits. Its canon, shaped by local leaders, includes texts the West rejected, affirming Ethiopia's special place in God's plan and its enduring sovereignty. The Ethiopian Bible is more than extra books, it's a living testament to a faith untouched by colonialism. The Western Bible's 66 books were chosen not just for theology, but for politics. Roman emperors and bishops curated a canon that served imperial unity, excluding texts that empowered the marginalized or highlighted Africa's spiritual leadership. Books like Enoch and Jubilees were labeled apocryphal, not for lack of merit but because they threatened the empire's narrative. The result, a Eurocentric Bible, stripped of its African roots, that justified colonialism and slavery. The voices of African prophets and martyrs were silenced, their stories erased. Only now are we beginning to confront this legacy of exclusion. The Book of Enoch, preserved in the Ethiopian Bible, is directly quoted in the New Testament, yet excluded from the Western canon. Enoch's epic tells of fallen angels, cosmic rebellion, and the origins of evil, offering a mystical vision that shaped early Christian thought. Its complex cosmology and angelology were deemed too unruly for the Roman Church's streamlined faith. By removing Enoch, the West lost a key to understanding the spiritual world of the Bible. The Ethiopian Church kept this tradition alive, maintaining a deeper, more mystical faith. Enoch's world of forbidden knowledge remains a treasure Ethiopia never let go. The Book of Jubilees, or Little Genesis, overturns the racist myth of the curse of Ham. Jubilees describes Africa as a divinely blessed inheritance for Ham's descendants, not a land of curse. This narrative affirms Africa's central, chosen role in God's plan, contradicting Western distortions used to justify slavery. Removing Jubilees erased the biblical foundation for black dignity and divine birthright. Rediscovering it restores the truth. Africa was always blessed, never cursed. The curse of Ham is a fabricated lie, twisted to justify slavery and racism. Genesis never curses all of Ham's descendants or links them to Africa. That was a later invention by European theologians. This myth fueled centuries of oppression, stripping Africans of dignity and embedding racism in Western Christianity. The Ethiopian Bible, by preserving Jubilees, exposes this lie and restores the original story of a blessed inheritance. Reclaiming this truth is an act of decolonization and spiritual healing. The antidote to empire's poison has always been waiting in Ethiopia's sacred texts. The Ethiopian Bible's books of Maccabean tell a uniquely African story of faith and resistance. Unlike the Western Maccabees, Maccabean centers on martyrs who defy a tyrant, embodying courageous defiance against injustice. These books sanctify the struggle for justice, framing resistance as a holy act of faith. Their exclusion from the Western canon was deliberate. Empires feared stories that inspired rebellion. Maccabean reminds us, our spiritual heritage is one of resistance, not submission. The Ethiopian Church preserved this blueprint for liberation. Removing African-centered books from the Bible was cultural theft, erasing Africa's role in sacred history. Christianity's Afro-Asiatic roots were whitewashed. Even the image of Jesus was transformed to fit European ideals. The loss of texts like Enoch and Jubilees severed ancestral memory, allowing Europe to claim the faith as its own. The infamous Slave Bible, stripped of liberation stories, exemplified this erasure. What was stolen was our story, our heroes, our place in the divine narrative. Rediscovering the Ethiopian Bible is about reclaiming what was lost and seeing ourselves as central to the sacred story. It's a restoration of faith in full color and context. Across the diaspora, black communities are reclaiming the Ethiopian Bible and their spiritual heritage. Reading these once-hidden books is an act of liberation, restoring pride and identity rooted in ancient greatness. The Ethiopian Bible connects us to a legacy of African prophets, kings, and martyrs, shattering the narrative of shame and submission. Teaching these stories to future generations inoculates against the poisons of racism and inferiority. This movement is about collective healing and reclaiming our place in the divine story. The truth has been preserved. Christianity's roots are African, and the Ethiopian Bible is a mirror reflecting our true selves. The garden was never lost, just hidden, waiting in Ethiopia to be found and restored.